Okay, we have two speakers this evening. Our next speaker, of course, is Suzanne Cybulla. She's the superintendent of East China Schools.
Thank you for having me this evening. In front of you, there should be two documents. The first one, the colorful one, is PowerPoint presentation slides. And the second one says March 10, 2020 bond proposal frequently asked questions. This frequently FAQ document is on the East China School District's website. But I like to print things so that you can make notations as I'm speaking or write questions down. But if anyone wants to see this FAQ document, it is on the East China School website. There's a button that says Bond 2020. If you click on it, this will be there, as well as a 78-page document, which was our application to the Department of Treasury for this bond. This bond is a qualified bond through the state of Michigan, meaning that they are backing it, and since they've approved it, we get to use their bond rating, which affords us lower interest rates. It's a really nice process, but it's a lengthy one, and it's a very specific one in order for us to have what is designated as a qualified bond. It's very, very particular in what they want to see from the school district, but I think it's a really good exercise for us to go through in order for us to be assured that this is exactly the direction that our school district should be headed. So this bond proposal is the third one that the school district has put to its taxpayers. And the reason for these continued bond proposals is that we're trying to address a severe declining enrollment in East China School District. We're trying to address our infrastructure that needs upgrades. Our building's average age is over 50 years old. The youngest building in our school district is St. Clair Middle School, and that's 20 years old. So we have our declining enrollment, we have our aging buildings, and then along with that, with the declining enrollment, we're trying to get our square footage, the amount of school square footage that we're using, in line with our student population. In 2001, East China School District had just shy of 6,000 students. We currently have 3,900 students. So that's a significant decline, and we're trying to adjust the schools that we're using to our new numbers. Now, since 2001, with the decline in our student enrollment, the district has along with the rest of the state of Michigan, been waiting to see where that was going to level out, because each year they were declining. And about 6 years ago, we finally found our level ground. Unfortunately for the school district, it's about 100 students less per class. So from kindergarten through our 6th grade class, through 7 years now, we have an average kindergarten class of 250 students. That's district-wide, both Marine City and St. Clair. If for our 7th grade through our senior class, the average class size is 350 students. So for this year, we have 353 seniors that will graduate, and that will be a wonderful day as always. But they will graduate and leave us, and we will then have 230 incoming kindergartners. So that leaves us with 120 less students next year than we are this year. And that happens for the next 6 years. And that's our students that we have right now. Why that is significant for school districts is because after Proposal A, after 1994, we are funded on a per pupil basis for our operational costs. So East China School District gets $8,340 per student. That's why those student count days are so important for us, because that's the day that we submit our count to the state of Michigan, and then they determine what our funding will be from the state aid fund to run our operations in our school district. So for us next year, with 120 less students, that's right around or just over $1 million difference that we will receive less next year than we're receiving this year. And that has been happening since 2001. And the district has continued to make adjustments and cuts and aligned itself to this new enrollment. But we're at the point now, because of that declining enrollment in the aging school buildings, that we really need to have a comprehensive bond that will help us take care of all of the things that we're trying to address. The final piece of it is our technology. Our technology in our school district is in desperate need of upgrades. We're operating the very best that we can, but for example, we're still on the Windows 7 platform, which as of yesterday is no longer supported, and we don't have the ability to upgrade that. So our students and staff are operating with the best that we can do, but I feel that we can do better than that for our students. And so those are all the issues that we're trying to address with our bond. So I'd like to take a minute and just walk through this bond proposal that we're putting on the ballot March 10th. Now, in 2016, the school district put forth a bond that was for $49 million. And the feedback that we received from that bond was it wasn't comprehensive enough. You weren't looking at the district as a whole. It was dubbed the Band-Aid bond. I don't know if that was fair or not, but that's how people felt. Like you needed to look at the whole picture. And so the district started on the pathway of a strategic planning process with MASB, the Michigan Association of School Boards. They brought in a rep. We did our strategic planning process. We went to a bond steering process. And in 2019, the last bond, May 7th, that was the comprehensive bond, where we looked at bringing the district together with one high school and middle school in the middle. And that bond was also not successful. The feedback that we received after that bond was that the overarching theme was that was too much. So the first bond in 2016, people felt like we didn't look at enough of the picture. And then this bond in 2019, it was uncomfortable to our communities to bring together the two high schools. They liked the small town community high schools, and they wanted that to stay as is. So that was part of the feedback that we received. Another piece of the feedback was that they agreed with us that our buildings need some upgrades. Our technology needs to be upgraded. They also wanted us, our community wanted us in this feedback, that to continue to offer as many opportunities as we could for students. So even though we're getting smaller, they still want us to find ways to offer opportunities for our students. So that was the feedback that we received. So then on the next page is the slide that says we listened. So instead of coming back out with the bond proposal from May, we went back to the drawing board. And we were able to look at the district again as a whole in a comprehensive manner. And this bond proposal keeps those two high schools at their current locations, allows us for those small community schools to stay there. But again, we're continuing to look at the infrastructure, our technology, the security upgrades, and that continues to remain a focus of this program. We also are continuing to look at ways to offer expanded opportunities as we're getting smaller. And then we reduced the bond scope by 25% because that was also part of the feedback we received. It was too much money. People wanted us to reduce that. So on the next page, on page 3, we're looking at a millage comparison chart here, and why I think this is important is to show the fiscal responsibility of the school district in that we have not asked for monies in a manner that we think is anything but respectful of our community's taxpayers and responsible. So right now you can see the East China School District levies 2.08 mills, and that little orange piece on the graph is a 0.04 sinking fund that's levied on the non-homestead tax. So it's a 2.04, but with that 04, it's 2.08. Then the next bar is if this bond were to pass on March 10th, this would be the new rate of 3.58. And you can see where that places us with other surrounding school districts. And we would still be the lowest of any school district in our area. So I think that's just important as everybody looks to see whether or not the dollars and the value is there for this bond program, and if we're being fiscally responsible in asking for the taxpayers' support. The chart below it, what we're demonstrating or trying to show here is that in the taxes in 2019, the summer tax rate was 3.24. And then July 1st, we retired 1 mil of debt, and property values went up a little bit. So we're currently at a 2.08. Again, this all includes the 0.04 sinking fund. If this bond proposal were to pass on March 10th, the summer tax rate for 2020, 1 year from 2019, would be 3.58. That is 0.34 mils above the rate a year ago. So just showing that the increase is minimal for the comprehensive impact that it would have on our school district. The next page, page 4, just shows that taxpayer impact for the market value and taxable value of a home. And I want to point out here, so if we look at a $100,000 market value, $50,000 taxable value, the annual increase would be $75. And then the estimated monthly increase would be $6.25. Now, if we were comparing to 2019, before that 1 mil of debt retired, the increase would be $1.70 a month. So that's what we're looking from year to year increase on a $100,000 market value home. So again, we are really paying attention to the dollars and making sure that we were impacting our school district and solving our challenges and also being respectful of the taxpayers' money. In this bond proposal, Marine City High School and St. Clair High School would house our grades 6 through 12. Currently, Marine City already does this. I was the principal at Marine City High School for 4 years, and this we already operate under this 6 through 12 all in one building. The difference would be that we would use one office instead of right now we have a middle school office and a high school office, and some of the square footage at Marine City Middle School that isn't needed any longer because we're getting smaller and it's in bad shape would be torn down. So there's 36,000 square feet that would come down at the middle school, and those students would shift then over to the high school, giving us that right-sized building to our new population. But all of these bullet points are in the bond proposal, the upgrades that would occur at this 612 school. So every single school building in the district would receive a safe and secure entry vestibule. If you walk into a new school building or one that's been renovated recently, it's a two-step process. You get buzzed in, and then there is someone sitting there that will greet you, look at your ID, and welcome you into the building, have you sign in and date or time when you come in, and then you're allowed to go into the school building. In our school buildings, we have the one buzzer system, which is an upgrade from where we were previously, meaning you have to buzz and someone will ask you who you are and why you're at the building. But once you're buzzed in, you're into the school itself. And so this provides a two-step process, a secure entry vestibule, and every one of the schools will receive that upgrade. Additional security cameras, the athletic entrance at Marine City High School would receive some upgrades, like I talked about, partially demolishing that middle school wing, existing buildings, ceiling to flooring, replacing the roof and the windows, adding some windows to our existing cafeteria. Right now, there is no natural light in our cafeteria. Provide the flexible and functional furniture for our students, upgrade our technology, replace the announcement and clock system, locker rooms, pool area. JV baseball field right now is on the other side of the track there at the high school, and that would come to the front of the building because it's underwater a lot. Rebuild those tennis courts and replace the drives, parking lots, and sidewalks. That is all that's in the bond program for Marine City 612 building. Now, St. Clair receives many of the same upgrades. The difference with St. Clair is it doesn't currently function as it's a 912 school. So in order to bring the middle school students over to this facility, we would need to build a gym. Right now, Marine City Complex has 2 full-size gym and an auxiliary gym. So St. Clair right now has 1 full-size gym and an auxiliary gym. It would need an additional gym in order to bring the middle school students over. It also would receive the parking lots, the driveways, and everything else that Marine City High School would be receiving. On top of that, the proposal has in it 8 classrooms to be built at the central office location there on Meisner. And what this allows for is for us, as we get smaller, many times when you get smaller, you have to stop offering some of your unique classes that are outside of just the normal class schedule that a student has. So as we get smaller, like I mentioned earlier, we don't want to limit our opportunities. We want to continue to offer them. So with classrooms being built at the central office location, if I have 8 students at Marine City that sign up for a class and 6 at St. Clair, they can take that class at the central location instead of saying, no, we're not going to offer the class. When I was the principal at Marine City High School, many times when we were looking at our master schedules, both for St. Clair and Marine City, when we didn't have enough students to run a class, we would say, why don't we just do this at central office? But it's just not set up. It's an old elementary building right now. It's not set up to run those kind of classes. So those classrooms would allow us to offer some classes and to expand on our offerings. Skilled trades is becoming a very important need, and we would like to be able to develop some of those offerings as well. Also at the Meisner location, I want to point out that there is updates to the concession stand, the locker rooms, and the bathrooms at the stadium. Currently, right now, they're in need of some upgrades, and so those are included there. Also included is a driveway from the stadium area to King Road. So that was identified in our emergency operations plan with Homeland Security, that was an area that needed better traffic flow in case of a need for evacuation. And we know if you've ever attended an event there, trying to get out can be difficult. So this includes a road out to King, an exit road out to King. On the next page, on page 6, we're giving some examples. These happen to be Port Huron. Of what those spaces, those classrooms at Central Office, Meisner Road, may look like. They're called flexible classrooms because they're built for any type of learning in that space. So if you wanted to run an advanced language class, a Spanish 5, you could run it in there. If you wanted to run one of our AP courses, you could run it in the classroom. The furniture is provided, the electricity is provided, and we just have to set the classroom up for the type of instruction that's going to happen. So many times we may not know what types of classes our students are going to need a few years from now, so you want to build the space as flexible as possible. Now moving on to our elementary schools, they all receive the same upgrades across the board. So you can see all of the bullet points there for our Bell River, everything from that safe and secure entrance all the way down to replacement of the drives, parking lots, and sidewalks. On the next page, on page 7, Pine River receives the same upgrades. And then what is currently St. Clair Middle School, those students will move to St. Clair 612 building, the high school. And this building will become an elementary building in this proposal. And how that would work for us is Gearing Elementary in St. Clair would close. And the students from Gearing Elementary would come over to St. Clair Elementary, which allows us, again, to get some of the square footage reduced in our school district to align ourselves to our new population. So the current St. Clair Middle School would become an elementary school, and it would receive all the upgrades that the other elementary schools would receive. Palms Elementary would receive all of the same upgrades as the other elementaries, and they're all bulleted there on page 8. And then, as I mentioned, the stadium receives upgrades, the locker rooms, ticket concessions, a designated entrance area. Right now, it's worrisome when you're buying a ticket at our stadium, the cars are right behind you. And so we want to it's not a big cost, but just more of a design to move back the parking so that we're not right up on it. Do the new road to King. And then our Performing Arts Center would receive lighting and rigging systems upgraded. They're already there, we just upgrade them, and upgrade the technology as well. On the next page, on page 9, it shows you each of the program estimates for each of the projects that we just talked about. And if you want to see this in more detail, the application made to Treasury that outlines each one of these projects and what the dollars are allocated for is on the website. So you can click on, you can go to the Bell River Elementary School sheet, program sheet, project sheet, and it will outline for you how those dollars are allocated, what they're going to be spent on or proposed to be spent on. So also included in this is the upgrades in technology for our maintenance building and our transportation building. So every single building in our school district would receive benefits and upgrades from this bond program. And then the slide at the bottom of page 9 talks about why this is important. And again, it's just the longer we go on, the harder it is and more expensive it is to make these corrections. The value of our community, the stronger your community is, the stronger your school system is, the stronger your community is, and those just go hand in hand. The next page just talks about moving forward. We're continuing to find a program that our voters can support, but our needs aren't changing. You know, the fact that each year, you know, we're short close $800,000 to $1 million in our operational budget. It gets very, very difficult for us to find ways to make those ends meet. Our declining enrollment, our aging building, infrastructure, outdated technology, all of these things we continue to have without a bond passage, so we'd have to make decisions and make adjustments moving forward. And then finally, on page 11, and you better than anyone would know that now with the new absentee voter rules, anyone can vote. And the vote for this bond proposal is March 10th. So that is the bond presentation that will be on our website. And then on the frequently asked questions, it's everything that we went through. And then the very last page, I think it's on your back page or the last page, is the actual ballot language. So this is really important because with our qualified bond application, if it's not listed here, we can't spend money on it. So it's extremely important for voters to understand that with a qualified application, we are bound by law and by state audit to spend the money as proposed. So I think that folks want to be assured that if their tax dollars are being used, that they're being used as they're proposed to be used. This bond language is the only way that these funds can be used. With that, are there any questions or things that I could clarify regarding East China School District and or the bond proposal?
The only thing that bothers me is the drives, parking lots, and sidewalks.
Yeah.
Is that Bell River on Chartier?
Yeah.
Hasn't that just been done within the last 5 years?
No, it's patched. It's patched. And if one of the things that I would encourage anyone to, you know, if you're like, wait, wasn't that just done?
I've seen equipment there and stuff.
Yeah, please go look. Go look, and we're more than welcoming for people to come in and see the facilities themselves if they're interested in really, you know, for yourselves looking at it. Bell is probably the one that is in the worst shape as far as the sidewalks and the curbs are crumbling and the drives. But we're patching them. We're doing, you know, the best that we can. But you have little children, students, you know, walking on those every day, and they're not in good shape. So we're hoping that with this bond proposal we can get it done. Was there anything else that is?
What do you do with the schools that are closed? How do you?
Yep, that's a great question. We have a buyer that's interested in Eddy Elementary that we closed at the end of this school year, or last school year, beginning of this school year. Right now, we currently have an early childhood program in Eddy, and we're moving that to central office. So it will be housed at the Meisner location. Once that is moved, we're hoping to be able to sell it.
Same with like Gearing, is that?
Gearing, yep, we still have students in Gearing, but as soon as they move over, we have an organization that's interested in it as well, expressed interest in it. Yep. we certainly don't want to have any empty school buildings around. But like I said, the district is, with the 3 different bond proposals, I know for some folks it can be just a little bit confusing because each one of them were a little bit different. One was little, one was quite large, and this one's kind of in between those two. But we're continuing to try to find a program that our communities can support to solve these continuing issues that we have.
So the money from the sales would go back into the pot then to...
Yes, into the school, they have to by law. And that's a really good question because some people are, I hear if you would just manage your money properly, you would have enough to build these new school buildings. Well, after Proposal A was passed, the only monies that we receive from the state of Michigan is our operational dollars. The second half of the funding model was that communities were expected to build their school buildings because they own them. Those buildings belong to the communities because they're built with taxpayer dollars. Now, if we were to want to change the function of a school building or sell it, we don't want to have government, Lansing, if they were paying for it, have a say-so in how we did that. So that the buildings are owned by the community because they're paid for by tax dollars. And that's why you see all those other school districts. Richmond passed their bond, Port Huron passed theirs, Anchor Bay passed theirs, and Marysville passed theirs. The expectation is that communities pay and maintain their school buildings.
Okay, well, if there's no other questions,
Well,
thank you so much for
Thank you.
helping
Thank you
us
very
with
much
this.
for having me out. I know that was a lot of information. I tried to cover it in a short amount of time, but if you think of anything later, please give my office a call or direct anyone who has questions to my office. All right.
Thank you, that was good.
Yes, thank you very much.
Doesn't on the ballot, doesn't it say it'll be 2.84 mils? I think
That's without the .04 sinking.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay?
Thank you,
Thank you
Suzanne.
very
broken down.